So again, we'll just continuity with this the concept of chain surveying. With already these two concept has been discussed with you. The basic principles I have discussed with you. I have already discussed the instrument that has been used, isn't it? The principle of triangulation, that certain basic terminology has been already discussed with all of you. So it's just continuation with that. Today, I like to discuss two more important concepts again in this, that is traversing and ranging, right? So you all have to understand it properly, right? I'll make it very simplified, and then you can consult some other material to understand that. So let me simplify. So I like to discuss these two topics related to chain surveying, traversing and ranging. So let's come to the slide here. Right, so traversing we have, I like to discuss, and these are the points that we need to understand, and the things will be simplified. We need to know the definition, what is traversing, then traverse party, it means uh, the individuals or the person who is supposed to conduct the traversing activity, then the equipment that has to be used, then the purpose, why we supposed to traversing, then classification, different kind of traversing is there, and the types, the basic types of traversing. So one by one I like to explain you. So I'll have to concentrate here, sit to the pen and paper and try to understand. Right? So let me explain you definition of traverse. So just look at the image also and then back to the definition. So you just look at what the statement said, that it is a series of straight line connecting successive points, right? Connecting successive points. So you look at that, you have a 4 point, just for example A, B, C, D. These are the points, and these points are called traverse stations or traverse points, right? So the straight line that is going to connect all these points, right, is called traverse. It's called traverse. Let's listen carefully and try to understand again. I'm repeating the things, right? These are the points A, B, C, D, and all these points has been connected through this straight line A to B, B to C, C to D, isn't it? So this series of straight line is called traverse, and these points is called traverse station or traverse point. Is a very simple meaning of term traverse, right? And the distance between these 2 points A and B and C, or the traverse that has been drawn here or that has been there, is determined either by the direct measurement, and direct measurement you can done by the tape or chain, or you can also use some optical device, some digital device like electronic distance measuring equipment, right? Or you can also use this tachyometric method, some instrument that I have shown you, optical instrument we have. So either you can do the direct measurement, it means you using the chain and tape, right? And or indirect measurement means you can use any optical or electronic or digital device like electronic distance measuring equipment or tachyometric method, right? Have you get that? So this is the meaning of traverse, right? So now we need to understand this traverse party. What is traverse party, right? So generally this traverse party means the personnel that is involved for doing this traverse activity, right? Or the traverse work on the field itself, they are called traverse party, right? So so the personnel is involved, obviously humans has to involve there. So those numbers of humans is called traverse party, which include this instrument operator, a head tape man, and the rear tape man. Just this, I will just look at it. There's instrument operator, a head tape man, and a rear tape man. So let me explain what this tape man has to do there. So if you look at there here, fine. So rear tape man. So most of the work has to be done by this rear tape man. That one need to understand here, right? And this head tape man has to do the things independently. It means all this measurement, all this direction that has been given by the person known as rear tape man, right? And the head tape man has to do the same activity independently to verify the activity that has been done on the field itself. Have you get that? So that's what this taping team is consist of. As I told you, two men, the head and head tape man. Somewhere you also get the name is given front tape man, right? And the rear tape man. So generally, as I told you, the rear tape man is going to command the whole taping team, right? And record all the distances uh, that has been measured in the notebook, right? And that rear tape man is also responsible for uh, reporting the measuring distance to the recorder. Recorder means the person who is supposed to note down all this data. And this front tape man or the head tape man, as I told you, independently computes the distance measured, and then the comparison has been made with the finding of rear tape man. Is it clear? So these are the traverse party we have. Have you get that? I hope the term is clear. Traverse party.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. Now equipment, for the equipment that has to be, so different kind of equipment we have, and lots of equipments that I've already explained to you. The almost same instrument. We have a theodolite, we may have tape, we may have labeling stuff, we have wrenching rod, we have plumb bob, then EDM, I told you, electronic distance measuring, stakes and hubs. See, stakes and hubs are there certain kind of is a kind of you can say peg that and wooden peg is there on which you are writing the information. When you're marking the station, you just write the certain information there. Have you get that? Right? So when you have to fix well defined reference point, you can use this stakes and hubs, and then some information has to be written over that. So these are certain instrument that is required for the traverse party, and you can easily understand that the kind of work, the objective over the basis of that, you need equipment accordingly. So these traverse party need these equipments to conduct traverse on the field itself, right? Now the purpose, what the basic purpose traverse has, that also one need to understand here. Objective is what the objective or what the basic purpose that need to be fulfilled, right? So as we have seen in the image there, the traversing is going on something points, then we are making this series of straight line to join all these points. So it is really very convenient. You can easily look at that, and it is also a very rapid method, and through which we are establishing the horizontal control, right? Right, and horizontal control has to be there, and basically it has been used when the line of sight are short due to some kind of features or some heavy built structure is on the ground itself, where the triangulation is not possible. Is it clear? Let me explain you again. For example, this is the area I have. Right. So if triangulation is not possible, means there is certain kind of obstacles like a form of certain feature, certain heavy buildings has been there, so it is very difficult to triangulate, right? So we are doing this traverse activity. We are moving from here, suppose this feature, then I have to locate this feature, then I have to coming here, then again locating this feature and come. So traversing has been done for that. First, it is convenient, it is rapid, right? And if triangulation is not possible, and because of some heavy built structures, some structures are there, so your line of sight becomes less, isn't it? If this is structure, this is structure, so you are unable to see beyond this structure, isn't it? So as a uh, surveyor, or which if you are working in the field, so you have to follow this traverse method, right? So have you understand the why we supposed to do the traverse? Again I'm repeating, listen carefully. Right, first is rapid, second convenient, and basically we have to do there where it is difficult to use the triangulation, right? If it is difficult, and why the triangulation is very difficult to use there, because of some heavy built structures are there, and because of this heavy built structures, your line of sight becomes short, isn't it? Then you can apply that. Is it clear to you? And because of that, you are able to do this kind of work there. First, properties have to locate or establish boundaries, isn't it? You can locate boundary or you can locate the property using this. Then topographical mapping can be done there also there. Then location and construction, layout survey for highways, railways, private public roads and ground control survey. Photogrammetric mapping is also done using this traverse method or the traversing. Is it clear to all of you? Purpose.
Yes, sir.
Is there any question from anyone? Now classification, right? So basically classification is based on the instrument you are using. See, chain traversing, it means you are using the chain only, isn't it? Chain traversing. Have you get that? Then you have this in the traversing, it means the entire work need to be conducted with chain or tape, and there is no angular measurement has to be there in the chain traversing. Now compass traversing, so in compass traversing we have some angular measurement because we have an instrument known as compass. Then you have a plane table, and let me say, when we will discuss this compass survey as per your syllabus, we will also go in detail in compass traversing there itself, right? Since the topic that is currently going on chain traversing, so I am emphasis on only chain traversing, but this is the classification that you should keep in mind there. So chain traversing, no angular measurement, only the traversing through the chain or tape. Compass, we are using compass for this uh, angular measurement also. Then if you go with this uh, plane table survey, in this plane table basically angular measurement between the traverse side, right, are plotted graphically on the plane table with one instrument that is known as LEDAD. So again, when I'm going to discuss the plane table syllabus, I'll go into detail in this, right? Then similarly, we have a theodolite traversing and tachymetric traversing. It means this instrument has to be used for angular measurement, right? And also the direct measurement of traversal by chain. So this instrument has been used and traversing can be drawn there. So one by one I like to discuss when if suppose when we move to that part of our syllabus, right? So but since I am discussing this chain survey, so currently I'll go into detail on this chain traversing. Is it okay? So when I move to the compass, we will discuss the compass traversing on a plane table traversing. When theodolite will be there, we will discuss some part of theodolite too. Is it clear? So I'm going to this. So these are the basic classification that one should keep in mind. chain traversing, compass traversing, plane table traversing, theodolite traversing, and tachyometric traversing. Now, type of traverse. What type of traverse is there? These two type of traverse is there: open traverse and the closed traverse. That one need to understand here again. Open traverse and closed traverse, right? So we need to understand one important difference between them. That start at a points of known position. Let's just look at that known position and terminates to a point of unknown position. Try to understand this. That is important to know. Open traverse starts as a point of the known position. It means when a station has been fixed, then you are starting and you are stopping anywhere to the known position. Closed traverse, it is a start from known position, also close with the another point with known horizontal position. This is the basic difference between both the traverse, open and close. Is it clear? That one should know here. Fine. That in open it start with a known position, but it will end with the unknown position. Closed traverse start with the known position, end with the known position too. That is traverse. Let me explain through the image. So this is open traverse. You have started with this A or X anywhere and you are ending anywhere. You don't know that position, right? This is the difference. So similarly, it is close link traverse because it means that we have an idea of both the point A and D. Similarly, we don't know what the position D is, but in this close link, and used to this close traverse, we know the end point 2, and this is closed loop traverse. It means you are starting from one point, and again by conducting all this traverse activity, you are ending with the same point where you have started. So that is called closed loop traverse, right? The concept is clear to all of you. First, the basic things,
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Yes, sir, clear.
right? So, and after that, you can use measuring the distance either using any basically chain we have. So, either chain or tape, you can measure the distance accordingly, right? So, this is the simple concept of uh, traversing. So now if any students have any kind of question from the traverse part, you can ask a question. Is there any question from anyone? Good. So now we need to discuss the concept of ranging, and as I understood, you all of you are which familiar with this instrument. This instrument I have already explained you, that is called ranging rod. So basically, when you are conducting this ranging activity on the for a survey, we have to use this ranging rods, right? So we will discuss this definition, types, and procedure related to the ranging. So let me move towards that. Right, so first ranging definition. What is ranging, or what kind of process is called ranging? So you just look at if the length of the line is greater than the chain length, the survey lines has to be divided by certain intermediate points before conducting the chaining process. This process is called ranging, right? So let me explain you, right? For example, there is 2 points. Just look at the point A and B, right? A and B, these 2 points that has to be measured. But what you have found that this survey line is longer than the chain length. See, you may have 10-meter chain, you may have a 20-meter chain or 30-meter chain, whatever the chain you know the length, and when you are come to the field for conducting chain surveying, you have found that the survey line is longer than the chain length, isn't it? Then how this chaining can be done there? Then we are putting some intermediate points in between the line or along the line. Have you got some intermediate point has to be located uh, on this survey line, and that location of intermediate points or the process is called ranging, right? And through this, what the things as well, we have to make the chain line straight. Chain line straight. Is it clear? Have you got the ranging? Have you got the ranging or not? Okay, let me simplify it all of you again. This is the 2 point I need to survey, right? And just take an example that I have only just 10 meter chain. The length of this 10 meter, but the line is maybe 30 meter, 40 meter, whatever, right? So if I'm not, if we just take example, if I'm not making any intermediate points, so there may be chances, right, that we are not supposed to follow the straight line, right? Isn't it? Because after 10 meter again we have to make 10 meter, 10 meter, 10 meter, and since we don't have any intermediate point, so maybe we have started from here, maybe reach from here, or we can reach there itself, isn't it? So to avoid this kind of error or this kind of wastage of time activity, certain intermediate points has to be located, right, in between these two. So for the location we are using the ranging rod. For example, I have a 10 meter, so first 10 meter is there, one ranging rod can be placed again, and one ranging rod should be here, one ranging rod should be here. So one person will be there, one person will be there. So when this ranging rod has to be placed, so both this A and B has to check that whether this is aligned with this A and B or not. Similarly, another ranging rod, it is C, it is D has to be placed, and E is to plate, and just following this we are able to reach this point B, isn't it? Right? So these are the process that need to be followed here, and through this we are going to make the chain line straight. Chain line straight. Have you get that? Is it clear? And all this process called ranging. And there's one important point that one should know here, that ranging must be done before survey line is changed, right? Before you have starting the measuring the distance with using the chain line, right? All this ranging should be conducted there, right? So there is one image. Through this we are able to understand that. Let me give you some more insight into that. Right, so there are two types of ranging we have, direct ranging and indirect ranging. So one by one we like to understand the direct and indirect ranging. So you just look at here, what is direct ranging? So there is something that one need to understand here. That's why I have just highlighted this intervisible, right? It means if intermediate points are intervisible, you can perform direct ranging, right? That can be performed by eye with the help of, obviously with the help of eye instrument here itself. So here the things that one need to understand related to direct ranging is intervisible. If the two but if the 2 points that the chain survey has to be conducted, or you can say that the first and last point, if it is intervisible, it means both the point is visible, right, with the eye, then you can conduct direct ranging. Have you get that? Listen carefully again. If the first and the last point are intervisible. It means that can be seen. The line may be bigger than chain line, no issue on that, but both the lines should be both the points should be visible. For example, if you started from here, you are standing here, so also you are able to see the point B. So if it is visible, you can do the direct ranging, right? Have you got this term? Term is clear or not? Right?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Yes. So this point you have to keep in mind. Intervisible. It means first and last points are intervisible. Then you can use this method of direct ranging. And again, if the term ranging has to be used, it means we have to put intermediate points. We have to put intermediate points. So just look at here. That is the direct ranging. It means the point A and point V is visible. So this ranging by I has to be taken place in this line. Intermediate points has to be located. You can easily look at there, isn't it? Right? And we have to put this line C, this point C in the same straight line. Is it okay? So just look at the image for a few seconds. You can easily understand the concept here. So these are the procedures that we need to follow here while conducting this direct ranging. And you have to just assume there's two points A and B are the two end points of chain line where two ranging rods are already fixed, and obviously both A and B are intervisible. And suppose it's required to fix ranging rod at the intermediate points in the chain line, right? The A, B and A and C are in the same strand should be there, and there is this the third point or the third step that has to be followed, that surveyor need to position himself or herself approximately 2 meters behind station A, right? And he and she has to looking along the line AB and the need to direct the assistant to move ranging rod right or left to the line AB until all the intermediate ranging rod come exactly in the same straight line. Is it? Have you get that? Okay, let me explain you by this image itself. You are here. If you are the surveyor, you have to position just approximately 2 meters behind this position A, and at the point B already one ranging rod has been placed. Now there is one ranging rod has to be placed in the point C. So the person at the point A has to direct the assistant, right? Direct the assistant to move straight or left or right. Some kind of things has to be done there, so that the third ranging rod can be placed exactly in the same straight line. Is it clear to all of you now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Right? And there are certain precautions also you have to be taken there while conducting this procedure. You have to check the verticality of rods. Rods means whether the rod is straight or not. So how supposed to check that? So you just bend down and look through the bottom of the rods. It means from the bottom of the rods, just look to the top, and whether you can see that whether the rod is straight or not. Is it clear? And if the ranging will be perfect, so these things will be there. It means all this all these three ranging nodes has to coincide itself and appear as a single rod, right? Have you get that? And there is one as you see in the cricket, lots of hand movement is to show certain kind of activities, there out is there or no ball, certain hand activities there. So similarly when the surveyor, as a surveyor, if you are satisfied that everything, that the ranging rod is fixed properly, so he has to weigh both, right? hands up and down, and then the things will be done there. You get that? So these are certain hand movement has to be there, and through which the confirmation has to be there itself. So again, I have some image to show you how the ranging can be done there. So just look at here. There is one point A and B straight line. This is not a straight line. This is straight line. The ranging, direct ranging can be done there. Both the point is intervisible. So this is the first step that you can see there. And as I told you, you have to check the verticality of the rod. So either you can use the plumb bob, or you have to look from bottom to the top, right? Just bend down yourself here and look that whether the ranging rod is vertical or not. That also need to be checked there. And then direct ranging, again, if since there is no obstacle, despite there is some forest area, but still A and B is intervisible, so you can conduct the direct ranging in this condition itself. And you can easily see that we can place one intermediate or two intermediate mark. We can place as per the distance of survey line or the length of the survey line will be there. We can place the number of intermediate points accordingly, right? It is not necessary that only one. It may be 1, 2, 3. As you look at there, we have a C, D, B. Lots of intermediate points can be drawn there, right? And he is instructing, as you look at there, his hand movement. He is instructing his assistant to move left and right and properly fix the ranging rod. First from A to B, if C has to be fixed, then from C to B, D has to fix, and similarly the things has to be followed. Is it clear? And when the thing is confirmed, so he has to show his hand like that. Okay, the thing is correct. Have a look at the hand movement. This kind of hand movement has to be done there, up and down, so that the things can be adjusted on the ground itself. So from A to B, first C has to be located, then from C to B, D, and similarly all these intermediate points need to be there for direct ranging. Right, so now if you have any question from anyone, you people can ask a question from the direct ranging. Is it clear to all of you now? The concept is clear till now? It's okay. So now we discuss this indirect or reciprocal ranging. So when this ranging has to be takes place, if the two, it means first and last points are not intervisible, right? Or the 2 points are long distance, very long distances there, then you can use this indirect, or not intervisible, then you can use this indirect or reciprocal ranging. Now we have to understand this clearly, because the thing is bit conceptual and difficult here. See, if it is visible, thing is very simple, but if it is not visible, then there are certain method, another process is there to do the indirect ranging. So all of you, those who are listening or those who are seeing the slide, just understand the things. So let me explain you how this indirect ranging will be there. First slide need to open, and through one image I like to explain you. Procedure I'll come to later on. First through the image I like to explain it, then I come to the procedure. Okay. Now what the procedure says that you can read anytime. So now we are doing the indirect ranging. So when the indirect ranging will takes place, if there is any kind of obstacles in between the first and last point. If it is not obstacle, so you can just take example of hilly area. If you are here and the next point is here, so obviously this both the points is not visible. Now we have to do the ranging activity here. So how the ranging activity will be there? Now listen carefully and also look at the image, right? So the first thing for indirect ranging is the 2 points are not intervisible, right? And why it is not intervisible? Because there may be some kind of intervention between the 2 points. 2 points we have A and B, and certain kind of intervention is there. So because of that, you are unable to see the another point here. So how this indirect ranging can be done there. So look at this image properly and try to understand the procedure properly. So when we are doing the indirect ranging, the first thing is that we have to locate two intermediate points. As you look at that, M1 and N1, right? For example, if it is A and B, so first M1, N1 has to be located, right? And how this M1, N1 has to be located, you listen carefully and try to understand that this M1 and N1 should be very near to your chain line by judgment. Through the judgment, you have to look at that whether this M1, N1 is near to chain line or not. And there is certain things so that we have to look at here, that when you are placing M1, right? So from M1, you are able to you are able to see both N1 and B, right? That point should be like that. Listen carefully again. The first thing in indirect ranging is you have to locate two intermediate points M1 and N1, and whenever you are locating these 2 points M1 and N1, so you have to follow certain condition. What the condition is there? If from N1 you are able to visualize N1 and B, and similarly from N1 you are able to visualize M1 and A, right? So this is the first step that one need to follow here. This is the condition that has to be understood. Again I am repeating, first two intermediates M1 N1 has to be located, and what the condition while locating these points. So from M1 you are able to see N1 and B, and from N1 you are able to see M1 and A, right? Have you get that? Now after that you have to place two ranging rod on this point M1 and N1. Up to this point, is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Is it clear? Now go for the second stage. What the second step after that you have to follow, right? So again, all of you look at the slide and listen carefully, both the things. Now after that, if this M1 N1 has to be fixed, then the person at M1, the person who is standing at M1 is directing the person standing on N1 to move the points N2. To move the points N2, right? Listen carefully again. Now the person at M1 directing the person N1 to move the point N2 with the condition that M1, N2 and B will be in the same straight line. Is it clear? Both M1, N2 and B will be in the same straight line. Second stage, I understand that? Is it clear to all of you? Right. Now, after that, the third point. Now the person at N2. Now since N1 is moved to the N2, now N2 is directing the person M1 to move the point M2, right? And again in the condition is that A, M2 and N2 will be at the same straight line or in line, right? Is it clear? After that, and then you have to follow the same procedure. You have to repeat the same procedure. Again, M2 is instructing N2 to reach N3 so that M2 and N3 be in the same line. Now N3 is instructing M2 to move to point M3 so that A, M3, N3 will be the same line, and you have to repeat, right, this process until the points A, M, N and B are in the survey line AB, right? Have you get that? You have to reach the point M and N by following all these process. Is it clear? Have you get that? And through this you are able to fix the point M and N, and M and N will be the intermediate points between A and B, right? So this is indirect ranging. We are not doing the direct ranging as we have done in this sum because the point is visible. We can easily do that, but here it is indirect ranging. Have you get that, all of you? Is there any question? So all these steps has been written in the procedure itself. And I hope you all have understand this concept. So I have some image that I have collected, and I like to explain the same procedure now. So just look at here. There is point A and B, right? And in between we have a tree and hills are there. It means both the point is not visible. Look at there. This is the obstacle we are getting, A and B. It means not visible. Then how the indirect ranging is work? Just you can look it here. You can easily understand that. So now this 2 points has been there. As I told you, M1, M1 similarly here is C1, D1. It means C1 is able to see A and D, and D1 is able to see C1 and B, right? This second is there now. Now instruction has been made. For example, C1 is instructing D1 or D1 is instructing C1 to move C2, right? And similarly that line has to be followed. It means A, C2, D1 will be the same line. Similarly, now after the C2 is commanding or instructing D1 to move to D2 so that C2, D2 and B will be the same line, isn't it? Let's look at it here. All these instructions images properly located. So you all have to understand. Have you get that? Right? Similarly, D1 to D2 is movement is there. And then again this ACDB has to be done there in the same line. It means you have to repeat the same process and you will reach at the where or the points will be in the same survey line. Is it clear? So these are the reference that I want used to get certain image and certain concept there. So this all about for this traverse and ranging, right? Where I have discussed with you the definition, the type of traverse and the purpose, and similarly I have discussed with the ranging, the definition, the type and the procedure, right? So